Welcome to this Morning On Asakhe podcast, your daily dose of insightful conversation on current affairs, politics, and social issues. Please share and also follow us on social media at SiteZW. Now, stay tuned to today's episode.
A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to our Tuesday edition of This Morning on Asakhe. It is the 28th of May 2024, man. We're coming to the end of the month of May and we're approaching June. It's quite cold and nippy in Bulawayo. We're back in our jerseys and hoodies. Yeah, winter is upon us. My name is Brighton. Today on the show, we're looking at the Triple C presser. Yesterday, there was the Triple C presser. The former leader of the Triple C, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, spoke in length, man, around the issue of election, issue of governance. And there was a 3-page document that was released on social media platforms after the press conference was done. They were speaking around the issue of SADC intervention to say in Zimbabwe elections, 23 August elections, they are still contested. And the issue of stalemate and so on. SADC must intervene to Zimbabwe's issues. And he has said he has been engaging other leaders, traditional leaders, civil society leaders, leaders, business leaders, and also other heads of state to come and intervene in the contested Zimbabwe elections. 23 August elections were held 9 months ago, and a few months ago, Chamisa resigned from Triple C as the leader of Triple C. But Zolo, he came back and said via press conference and press statement, SADC must intervene in the Zimbabwe elections. Good morning to you, Douglas, this morning.
Good morning, Brighton. I love Chamisa. I really wanted him to do well. But then just thinking that it's 9 months down the line, people have moved on, 1. 2, he abandoned the party that he was with after frustration, and he stopped the politics. Now he's coming in for SADC to go and do a roadmap. It seems like he's working backwards and stuff like that. And whether to remain relevant to the political discourse to say I'm still the one who's got 2 million votes. But 9 months to try and change, it's not going to change anything. People have moved on. They've absolutely moved on. If the solution is to come back, he can't make a solution, him as an individual, but collectively as all maybe opposition members, civic opposition, come all together and say that, okay, this is what we're going to do. Not him as an individual to say, I want a change. I'm going to force SADC to do this. I don't think this will work. People are taking him as a kindergarten politics that President Chamisa is coming up with as well. One, you quit your party, and then you want to come back, you want to be the leader, you want to unify everybody. As who? As you've actually left. You've left the thing. So there is quite a lot of confusion as well. And everybody's just like, this may not work for President Chamisa. He needs to come back together with his colleagues such as Job Scholars, the Douglas Monzoras, the Edmund the Mutsuris, to come together and say, look, we're forming up a coalition with the Welshman Nubes. We really need to approach the government and have a coalition government as well. Not him as an individual. It's not going to work, to be honest here. That's all what I have to say for today. Good morning.
Well, thanks so much, Douglas, for that. Quite interesting what you're raising there, the issue of SADC intervention and also the issue of reforms there. Let me just go through another part of that statement. Chamisa said they have been patiently waiting for a response from SADC on April 29. However, since considerable time had elapsed, I wrote again to SADC. We delivered our follow-up to SADC and await a response to determine a clear path forward to resolve the governance crisis and leadership dispute in the country. He said, noting that Zimbabwean citizens were very clear and firm that elections were improperly conducted, indeterminate and produced a manipulated outcome. This position is supported and confirmed by SADC, the African Union, the European Union, the Commonwealth, COMESA, Carter Center, and all other intergovernmental organizations which were deployed election observer missions to Zimbabwe, Chamisa said. Good morning to you, Bashuna, this morning.
My brother, how are you? Good morning, everyone. And what a lovely topic to discuss this morning. Maybe what I would start with is we need to be clear with people that we want to lead us. Nelson Chamisa is not an amateur to Zimbabwean politics. He joined Zimbabwean politics at a young age. He knows what is supposed to be done He knows when it's supposed to be done, and he knows how it's supposed to be done. Nelson Chamisa is a well-trained lawyer. To some extent, I believe he did constitutional law. So we are not dealing with a grade 2 or a grade 1 or ECD child here. He is a person who understood and who have been in Zimbabwean political landscape for a long time. Right? So now, Brighton and fellow Zimbabweans, one thing that we need to appreciate here is that, and this is a factual fact, Nelson Chamisa is playing with your minds. And we've been saying this over and over again. We have been here, Brighton, discussing the issue of delimitation, the issue of Bereka Mwana Musana, the issue of how they conducted their primary elections, if you want to call it that way, or if you want to call Bereka Mwana Musana. I'm giving you this background for you to understand my point. To say, he is playing with your minds. He knows and he understands what you, Zimbabweans, especially the population which is in towns and diaspora, what you want. So he's playing with your minds. Thank you very much, Brighton, and I appreciate for the opportunity.
Well, thanks so much, Pashona, for that. Let's go to our next speaker. Good morning to you, native son of Bulawayo.
Good morning. Let me get to the point about Nelson Chamisa. This is a man that many of us voted for in 2018 and 2023 elections. At some point, when we have to come to a point of actually saying we cannot be somehow sugarcoating things with lies and so forth. I really wish I could believe that Nelson Chamisa can do much of progress at the moment, but unfortunately, no, I do not see it actually having much of a progress at all in terms of the SADC issue and so forth. We've been through this road immediately, even after the elections. I believe that the iron should have been struck when it was still hot. Now you cannot bend the iron when it has actually lost the heat. In that manner, as long as we keep talking of change that will come through meetings and so forth, you cannot have a conversation about change when the streets are saying something else that is different. The only reason why there was the Lancaster House sitting, it was because the bushes were burning. The bushes were somehow not peaceful, and it was slowly getting to the cities, and that forced everybody to the table and say, let us have an agreement of ceasefire, gentlemen. Let us have this and that. What is it that Mr. Chamisa has on leverage that he can force everybody else to be on the table and say, let's go to the table? Because as it is right now, the people that he seeks to engage somehow seem to have accepted that ZANU-PF came out victorious in the election, but we all know that their victory wasn't victory at all. We cannot even come and even defend it, but we know that the election was manipulated with very hardly evidences there, and you don't need to actually even Google. You could even just see it from, the issue of ballots and so forth. So in that manner, you see that everybody else has now somehow moved on. The masses, yes, they might not have moved on in terms of, saying they have accepted the rule of ZANU-PF and so forth, but somehow they have kind of like, shrugged it off on their shoulders to say, you know what, let's just continue with our lives. Yes, they can tell you that they haven't moved on, but there is nothing that they really can do. Let me just rest my point again forward to.
Well, thanks so much, native son of Ulaya, for that. Good morning to you, Kolita, this morning.
Okay, thank you. Well, in our Zimbabwean politics, which are actually crooked, which doesn't help the general public or the person who is a general citizen. Having said that, the press statement is actually a welcome move. However, even though it won't have any much change on the ground due to the fact that time has lapsed. That's a long time that has lapsed. 9 months without anything happening, and I guess everyone has moved on, and even the people on the SADC, like the SADC, their political leaders who actually have got their own pressing problems in their backyards, of which I think the Zimbabwean issue or the Zimbabwean situation to them is just like another problem next door, which they actually don't have to deal with. And I don't think they'll ever deal with it. The only thing that may happen is the solution from within. That is, if ZANU-PF decides that yes, we have failed, yes, things are not going well, yes, we need to work together as a people of Zimbabwe and rebuild our country, then maybe there will be some kind of movement or some kind of change. I'll end there anyway. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Peter, for those sentiments. Good morning to you, Tsepang.
Good morning, Dalton. So I want to start by debunking certain things. It's important to ensure that the narrative is correct and factual. It's not really entirely true that opposition-led local authorities under local government have not done anything because they don't want to do anything. There has always been sour center-local relations because central government has been bitter as a result of the opposition having dominance in pertaining to local government, and the central government having the means of power has taken away streams of revenue for opposition-led local authorities to bring in development, has created draconian laws that are hostile and mad with a lot of complexities where there is a lot of reporting to be done, even for some of the simplest things. So we can't then overlook that and just say development has not been done because opposition is a liability. That's not been true. But sticking to issues of SADC, this is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. If I have a dispute, I go to court. And I wait for the court to adjudicate and ensure that there is a resolution. But then if I feel like I have the means to deal with issues on my own, why do I go to the court? So running with that analogy, Chamisa sought the indulgence of SADC, which was a very good move. But then he decided to leave the party. Why did he leave the party when the issues were raised with the SADC? All issues were raised. He should have waited for SADC to adjudicate and assist, since he had realized that some of the things have gone beyond my power. Now, when he speaks as who? When he says we engaged and wrote another letter on the 29th of April, by that time he had left the party. So he is now speaking as who? Because initially he spoke as the leader of the main opposition. So yeah, that's my two sentiments. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much, Tsepang, for that. You're raising very important issues there around the issue of SADC. Chamisa is saying SADC must intervene, but after a few months ago, he resigned as Triple C leader. But now he's saying SADC must intervene. He's been writing letters to SADC as who and which party does he lead. Hey, let's move on to our next speaker there. Good morning to Ben Ncube.
Good morning, Mr. Ncube and everyone. I hope you are doing well. You know, I discovered Uchi by saying SADC intervention in Zimbabwe is still needed was somehow quoted wrongly. I didn't think he put it well. He should have said was needed, because there's a lot that has happened since then. But then the problem that we have now is, as far as a country, as anti-ruling party people that are there, that are against the principles of the ruling party, we don't have much to pick from on the basket. If there's apples and bananas on the basket, if you do not eat apples, then you end up eating bananas. It's not because you like bananas, it's because what else could you eat? So these leaders sometimes realize that by virtue of you not supporting ZANU-PF, where else will you go? Because how else would you explain the hunger that the Ugandan opposition has as far as wanting to run the country, the hunger that Kagame had as far as wanting to run the country, and the hunger that our opposition political leaders have as far as wanting to run the country? You would go on to conclude that probably we have got a situation whereby we're fighting different struggles. There are people that are actually comfortable being the main opposition, not being the leader of the country.
Well, thanks so much, Ben, for that. Quite interesting what you are raising there. Thanks so much for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts with us and continue supporting site. Please do follow us on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We are there to give you live updates and stories happening at different communities. From myself, Brighton Ngube, it's lovely hanging out with you. It's bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. For feedback, you can contact us on 263-777-470017. Don't forget to follow and like our social media pages.